What's up, everybody, and welcome in to another edition of Big Men on Basketball. It is Tuesday, February 28th, the final day of February, and we are about to embark on March Madness. Tomorrow will be the month of March, and we got a huge show planned for you today. It is a long time coming. Look, I've been associated with Barstool a pretty long time, not three presidencies, but for a pretty long time. And during my time at Barstool, there's been a back and forth between me and Rico Bosco. Everybody knows that. There's been leaves of absence. There's been chucking of high noons. There's been leaving Barstool entirely by both of us. There's been hype circles. There's been all sorts of stuff. But today, we finally do a show for the first time. And I'm excited because in the end, I think Rico Bosco is one of the strongest college basketball people in the media world today. I think he's very adept at basketball handicapping, and it's good that he can come on this show. And maybe for just one day, we changed his name from Big Men on Basketball to Men of Honor. Let's welcome him on right now, Rico Bosco. Rico, I have to ask you, did you ever think this day would happen?
No, that intro is pretty interesting to hear. Play that compared to some of the other comments in the past of he's an idiot, he's an asshole, which have definitely come out of your mouth. So it's interesting to get that side by side, but bygones be bygones. It's obviously
Rico,
the right spot. But
in the end, I dished, I received, I did what I had to do.
I think we both dished. League leaders in assists.
Yes.
Or league leaders in offensive fouls, put it that way.
Absolutely. Now, I will say this. I want to give you some flowers, more flowers, Rico, before we get into some hoops. Last week, and we won't hear about this because there's no Dave Portnoy podcast anymore. Dave's doing his thing, but Rico Bosco is number one, folks, on the blog report last week. What a wild thing to see. I got that email. I said, holy shit, Rico's number one. Now, there is a disclaimer, Rico. You had the fourth most popular blog in the company last week, and we talked about it. The give and go between you and I took a dazzling woman to the game. You write about it. What a give and go.
Yeah, that definitely got the assist there as well, so it worked. I had to follow Rochelle, too, which is a little tough because I was at the Seton Hall game, and you pull it up.
Yeah.
And she's got some interesting photos, like, on the top of your timeline, so that's always interesting. You had a family sitting behind me, so like
wait for the video to come.
Yeah. I saw that one too. So
not easy when you're
that was interesting for sure.
Yeah.
But
you're here, and we're going to talk hoops. That's what we do here. We get down to the nitty gritty. We don't preface much. We just get right into it. We got a lot of conference tournaments starting today. A lot of smaller conferences. We're still kind of finishing out the season in the Big 12 and the Big 10 and those kind of series. Or in those kind of conferences. But I'll ask you, you've been pretty adamant. We have to understand, are you an Alabama fan? Where is this Alabama fandom coming from?
Just love Oates.
Rico, I hate Oates.
Yeah,
I hate him.
Yeah.
I think he's a terrible coach. I think Fran McCaffrey's a shitty coach as well.
Fran's a good guy. Fran's a motivator.
He's never made it past the NCAA first round of the NCAA tournament, Rico.
Some of that's tough draws. A lot of that he was at Siena. But the thing I'll ask too, and I know you're down on Iowa, you're negative on it. You're obviously younger than me, but Iowa was never anything for my life growing up. They're like Georgia Tech had that one championship game. There's a ton of power programs I talk about. Nebraska, South Carolina, Oregon State. I know that, there's a bunch of programs. If you look throughout the Power Five, I would say Colorado, like just off the top of your head, you're like, yeah, never been good. So he turned Iowa into a place that at least people are looking at. Keegan Murray was up for Player of the Year last year. I think he won some award. He was at the Final Four when we were there. Garza obviously won. Chris Murray's in the conversation now. He's put Wieskamp in the pros. Like, Iowa, at least you're interested in. I know that's not necessarily the best thing to hang your hat on, like but he's got 500 career wins.
But here's the thing. The truth of the matter was, for him, when they had Steve Alford.
Well, they also got fucked last year on that seeding. They
right.
played Sunday in the last game. They play Thursday in the early window against the team who's the most experienced. The seeding process will never honor the Big Ten the correct way. It should be mandated they play on Friday.
I get what you're saying. He has brought a lot of good talent there. But the truth is, they were making the NCAA tournament before he got there with Alford and people like that. I get what you're saying. He's put a lot of good players in the NBA. The truth of the matter is, are you a Kevin Willard fan? Kevin Willard's had a lot of good talent. Okay. But he's never gotten past the round of 32 in the NCAA tournament. He's had some great teams, and we'll give him credit. Penny Hardaway brings a lottery picks to Memphis, but he's a good coach? No, he's a shitty coach. I think there's a difference between good recruiters and guys that can bring talent in. If that's what you want as a program, that's fine. But it doesn't translate to winning. And more with Nate Oates, when I look at just how he coaches, you look at last year, prime example. They couldn't shoot the ball to save their life, but it's game after game. They're attempting more threes than virtually anybody. It's just I just didn't.
Well, that's the style. Yeah, that's the style. Like, obviously, if you knew the ball was going to go in, it'd be a different conversation. But you look at what he's doing again. So he didn't bail out on his style, and now obviously they're shooting it really well. Mm-hmm. I just think some of those guys last year were just kind of checked out defensively because whether people realize it or not, they love to say, oh, they just go up and down. He's one of the best teams and crawls in your shorts defensively every year too. I don't think they bought in. I think guys, Shackelford was, when we went down there the summer before, Shackelford was out in California, like, oh, he's playing with the draft. I don't know if he's coming back. NIL was it looked like a lot of guys were just looking for handouts. Now it looks like a lot of guys are bought in, which he had in Buffalo. I mean, he took Buffalo to a 6 seed. That's unheard of.
I will give them credit. Seeds. Defensively, they're very good. They're elite defensively, and that is a great job by him coaching-wise to get them to buy in to defense because it's not easy to play defense in college. You want to do other things. You want to dunk. You want to shoot threes. It's not sexy to play defense. But I want to talk about conference tournaments, some of these smaller conferences, because you, unlike most people at Barstool, you do get more into some of the weeds. You know who Brian is, okay? You know who Merrimack is.
They're not going to make it.
Yeah, well, here's the thing about the America East, luckily. At least it's a better, funner conference, right? It was just Vermont for a lot of years. Now you have Maine, you have Lowell, you have Bryant, you have several teams that are very good in that conference. You say they're not going to make it. You still would agree, though, that talent-wise, they have the most talent in the conference. They have a lot of high major kids there.
Yeah, I've only watched them a couple of times. I don't know what's going on, but every time you look at the scores, they're losing weird ones, too. Like, even NJIT, I was going to go to that last week or a couple weeks ago. I'm looking, like, they're down 12. They pull one out against NJIT by 1. I don't really know what's going on. He's obviously he should be on lists moving different spots. I know he's got young kids. I don't know if he wants to relocate, but he's obviously on names like, St. John's would put him on the list. Obviously, Patino's at that top of the list. But, like, different places, as you watch people move along, he's definitely in that conversation. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, they're still the 2 or 3. They're not completely out of the conference. But last year, it felt like they were a lock to win the NEC, and now in a tougher conference. He's definitely got them at the top of the America East, but I just don't know. If I was betting on it, I wouldn't put them as a lock.
I got to tell you, it's a shame they didn't stay in the NEC because the NEC this year stinks.
NEC usually stinks.
It's but Wagner's lost. FDU's lost.
Well, I'll give you that. So we'll go there. I'll give you FDU at 275.
Yep.
They've beaten Merrimack twice, and they split with Stonehill, who's the 3. Merrimack's the 1. So I like FDU. I know it's a true road game in the NEC. I'll give FDU plus 275 as the first one in the NEC.
It's hardly in 140-ish with Merrimack. Now, remember, they are not eligible for the NCAA tournament. Look, you've read on that. I've read on that. It's a stupid fucking rule.
Wait. So Merrimack's still playing in the tournament?
Yes.
That's the.
So they make it, but don't.
If you're going to do the injustice, though, just do it all the way. Because now you're justifying the teams that Merrimack beats as the 8-9 because they wouldn't have had to play. Only they could screw that up. It's the same with North Florida last night with Bellarmine. Like, those North Florida kids got doubly screwed.
Right. No, listen, these rules are stupid. I've said it for years. It's a stupid rule. If you're good enough to make Division I, you should be able to play in the NCAA tournament right away. If you win it, you win it. That's the fucking rules. You should move on. It's bullshit. So you like FDU. I kind of agree with you. Merrimack is a team who cannot score. They're lost with the basketball. Good defensive team. Going to throw a zone at you and kind of press you a little bit too. But, yeah, I think the value is on FDU. They're the best offense in the NEC. So when we're getting into the weeds of some of these conferences, I said yesterday with Kelly, Gonzaga at anything under 120 to me, I'm playing. Okay, this team is on fire right now. They look like an NBA team offensively. We've completely forgot about them. I love St. Mary's, and I think they're very good. I think they're going to be a very tough team in the NCAA tournament. That said, if you're going to give me a neutral site where Gonzaga is very good in Vegas, they're very good in that building they play in, they're on fire right now. They have that look in their eyes. And Rico, you have to ask yourself, what are they in that? If that's a final, what's the line in that game? I mean, it's going to be higher than 115, 120. So you're getting,
that's the way that's something I was actually looking at with Colgate. So Gonzaga's minus 118 in that. I think that's a It sounds dumb. People aren't going to understand that. That's a discount to me.
Agreed. I think
Like,
Colgate should be 400 to 500, minus 400, minus 500.
Yeah, I think they're 230. If I want to say,
even 250. 250 to win a unit, right?
Now Navy just played them tough, I believe, in Navy's building. But yeah, Colgate, you're probably going to be getting 8 or 9 on the line. It's the same rationale. I've been doing pretty good with futures this year. I didn't give out the Chiefs because I didn't want to give out the favorite again, but it was the same with the Astros, which I did give out. Nowhere ever are you going to get the Astros at plus 300 in a series price. So it's the same way. Now, you got to win all of them. You got to win all those series, and it's a little more difficult in the playoffs. But in a one-game thing in the conference tournament, if, back in the day when Kansas was in the Big 12, if Kansas is minus 110, Kansas is minus 120, like, you're basically just making one bet for them to win throughout the whole thing. It's the same with Gonzaga. You're not going to get them at minus 118.
Exactly, and that's how I'm looking at it. With Colgate, since December 22nd, this team's lost once by 1 point to American. So random game. I didn't want them to win every game anyway. You want to at least lose once. Look, I think they are significantly stronger than anyone else in this conference. Significantly. And they are every year. Okay. Matt Langle's done a great job there. He could probably go somewhere else. He's a really good coach.
They're talking about him at Notre Dame.
And it would be a great hire. He's from the Philly area. He's literally every year in the NCAA tournament with Colgate. And they put Arkansas tough a couple of years ago. I mean,
no, even more so. Yeah, they had Arkansas. That was
in the first half.
I remember that in the first half, and then I bet Arkansas to come back. I think first half money line, luckily.
And then they blew.
And then Colgate had Wisconsin last year, was giving them everything they can. I think I'm trying to think of who's the most susceptible team. Or even like a Tennessee. If Tennessee gets Colgate in a 3-14, and Tennessee will get to them 225th effective field goal position, and I got Colgate who can score and has guys all over the place.
See, I like
disciplined. I think Colgate too. Like, that's the same thing with Langle. You look at academic standards. He's going to go to Notre Dame. He's not going to have shitbags academically. It's kind of a path to success, obviously.
Right. I also will say one other conference future. I think it's somewhat similar, though. I do think South Dakota State's been better. Can they actually beat Oral Roberts? Oral Roberts is very good. They're another team that I think can definitely win a game or two in the NCAA tournament. They have one of the best players in the country, a guy that's been there, a team that's won. This is a better team than the one a couple of years ago.
Just don't put Oral Roberts on the 12-5 because everybody's already looking for the 12-5 line. I think they become then. I actually would. It's crazy to say it without a bracket. I would almost fade Oral Roberts as a 12 if they got the 12. I know that makes no sense. Matchup not seeing. But don't you agree the 12-5 becomes way too sexy? Almost like this Ken Pom thing. Everybody now knows about the 40. You used to have to go get it. You used to have to. I found out about it in an article in Sports Illustrated 15, 20 years ago. A lot of this info being now mainstream, almost everybody knows about. You don't want to be on the sexy underdog.
Well, Kelly and I talk about this all the time. It is a very watered down industry at this point where the people that never knew about Ken Pom, now they know about it. So you got to always, I'm looking into hoop math now and different things that I just think are more important to the games themselves. But yeah, I mean, I agree. 12-5.
I think the other thing too is people don't understand what efficiency is. Like like when you first read a stat, you want to know exactly what it is. It's possessions based off 100 or points per 100 based off 100 possessions. The efficiency there. So it's not, in a game, are you getting 100 possessions? Like, you got to look at how all that stuff. A lot of people, if you ask them, oh yeah, they'll love to throw out offensive efficiency, defensive. They don't know exactly what it's even based off of. So that's where it's too. It's like,
I believe Jerry Palm and Lenardi, whether you care about their opinions, they both have them as a 12 naturally. I'm hoping though for the brackets' sake, they are not a 12-5 because you're right.
Colgate?
Yeah.
What's Colgate?
Colgate is I would think they're a 13.
I like that.
But no, they're a 14. He has them with Marquette currently, which look, they're a terrible defensive team, Marquette. So I think that could be interesting. That'd be a high scoring game for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you got to sometimes lay prices. And look, we've talked about this, guys, on these shows. When you're playing props in a Super Bowl, when you're playing futures and some of these small conferences, you're going to have to lay prices to win. Okay. There's reasons they're such, and there are conferences where, as you said, I agree that Colgate should probably be significantly a higher price. So what's it going to be?
Patriots home games too. Patriots not not neutral sites, right? Patriots a home game.
Right.
So yeah, I
Absolutely.
think that's a discount as well. I'll give you two that jumped out to me too. In the Horizon, which is basically the MAC. Last year, if you remember those games, the quarterfinals, add them all up, they went fucking berserk. I'll give you Northern Kentucky. I think they're the 4 right now at plus 400. They play in a really slow tempo, which can kind of screw people up. 1 point loss, 1 point win to Cleveland State, who's I think the 1. And then close wins and losses, 6 points to determine those 2 games to Milwaukee. They beat Youngstown State in overtime in December. They got a kid, Warwick, who scores 19 a game. I think Northern Kentucky is worth a shot at 400 in a conference that goes berserk. And I'll still hold on to these guys because they got the best coach. They're the 4 seed, Belmont, plus 650, Casey Alexander. I'll roll with them. They beat Indiana State once. They beat Bradley twice. They only played Indiana State once, so they're 3-0 in that. Drake is a mismatch for them, but you're holding plus 650 if you can get into a championship game. I think Belmont, it hasn't been the Belmont years where they're on the bubble or they're flirting with being ranked or everybody loves Belmont. It's been a little bit of a tough year, but that's the conference. The Valley is tough. I think Belmont at plus 650 would be the other one I looked at.
I like the Northern Kentucky because in these tournaments, you're playing night after night. You throw a zone at a team, especially in a conference where, look, let's be real. I mean, these aren't the greatest shooting teams in the world. I think Youngstown State is vulnerable defensively. They've been a great bet all season, but again, they play in a lot of these high-scoring 82-79 type of games. Cleveland State showed me something real late, but as you said, Northern Kentucky, a team that can throw something different at you under Darren Horn, so keep them in mind. Those are great, I think, thoughts. And Belmont, talent-wise, is right there. That's a good basketball team. Obviously,
they run great shit, obviously. The other one, too, that jumped out, and I'm not going to give a pick on, but they're so interchangeable. See if you could wrap your head around this. In the Sun Belt, Southern Miss is the 1 seed. They have the 4th best odds at plus 400. You got Marshall, Louisiana Lafayette, James Madison, Southern Miss, all banging each other left and right in that. They're all over the place in that conference.
I believe pundits had them 12th or 13th in this conference this year. That's a hell of a
Southern
job.
Miss.
Yeah, Southern Miss. Yeah, that's a hell of a job by Jay Ladner, their coach. He's done a really good job down there. 1 or 2 more, and then we'll get to some games tonight. As I said, I think Oral Roberts, Colgate, I mean, those are, I think, plays you need to make. You could also throw maybe Charleston in there as well. I will keep saying I'm a big fan of Speedy Claxton and Hofstra. They're a great pick and roll offense with Aaron Estrada. They kind of have that 1-2 always in that conference where they're good in the pick and roll and they're tough to defend. But Charleston's been really a hard team to fade. I mean, they were great in the non-con.
Yeah, I spoke to Kelsey. He's obviously an intense guy. I went down to Drexel to watch them play live. Sat on the floor for that one. It was a good one. I'll tell you this. Are you familiar with any of the Charleston's guards? As far as they're really good and they're really tough. But height-wise, I think you're looking them in the eye.
Right.
No, like you're looking them in the eye.
Oh, me? Yeah, my head. No, they're little.
They're very, very small. They're all tough guys. The one guy went out with a fucking eye patch. Like, they're tough dudes, but they're very small. They get anybody with oversized guards. It should be a disaster. But the crazy thing is, the will and the want, as Cooley says, they're great on the offensive glass. They're like a really, really good offensive rebounding team, which makes no sense. But rebounding is all effort, so I guess it makes sense.
That's a very good point by you, because if you look at Hofstra, Aaron Estrada is 6'3". They beat Charleston 85-81 in the regular season. I like Pat Kelsey. He was very good at Winthrop, did a lot of good things there in the Big South, and he's done a great job there. But that's a great point by you. You get those little guards on the perimeter, teams that are very hawking on the perimeter, can really kind of shut you down, get in your grill. I think 155 is a nice price on Hofstra. I will say I think Pat Scary's Towson team is always interesting with the way they can rebound the basketball. But you mentioned real quick on the Horizon, I think they've had over like the last 8 years 5 or 6 different champions. That's a messy conference. Let me throw one more team at you.
It seems like a leaping pad. Yeah. Conference, if that makes sense. Like, you get there and you're looking to get out of there. It doesn't look like there's a lot of turnover.
No, it's a weird conference. What about Detroit Mercy with Antoine Davis, one of the best scorers in the country? Could someone maybe put his team on his back? Maybe I could see so many things.
Anything in that conference with plus signs, you're never going to talk me out of. because it's such a wacky conference.
Here's one I will talk you out of. When you look at some of these things, like I know sometimes people want to go real deep with things, they want to kind of get involved, but look, I wouldn't be playing IUPUI 100-1. That ain't going to happen.
Right.
That's a bad bet, but I agree. Really anything outside of that, I think you can make a case for any of the, Green Bay beat Milwaukee a couple of weeks ago. I think they beat Youngstown as well. So there's a lot of randomness here, but let's get into some games tonight. By the way, guys, I'm going to keep saying this. We don't get this money. Now, I know Barstool Sports will take the money, but we don't get it. So thank you for involving that. I don't believe that, Fred Northrup. I think Colgate is just way better than everybody else. But you paid $19.99, so you can say that publicly. Shout out to you, Fred. Thank you. All right, let's get into Rico. Rico, is there a lot of games you like tonight?
No, there's two. I'll give you the two I like before you go to the big ones. So I'm going to go with Nova, -1.5. Yeah. I watched Seton Hall in person Friday night. I took my brother and a very good friend of ours. About 8 minutes in, the game was background noise.
Yeah.
We were talking fantasy baseball, catching up. Like Xavier just beat him to a pulp, and I knew it. The line, my brother was like, the line was 2. The line was, I know hindsight's 20/20, and they were still missing Fremantle. This Seton Hall team cannot score. 285th in effective field goal percentage. They shoot 32% from 3, 48% from 2. Nova struggles on the offensive glass, but the Seton Hall defense doesn't. They allow a lot of rebounds as well. So, or they're not a great offensive. I'm sorry, they allow a lot of offensive rebounds as well. So Nova's bad, but they might stumble into a few just because Seton Hall's that bad. They also turn the ball over all the time. Nova, I'll end on this too. So people are going to think it's anti-Wisconsin because I wrote the golf blog and I make fun of guard. Wisconsin right now is sitting at 16-12. Their best wins, Marquette, this is Ken Palm ratings, 13, Maryland, 17, Iowa 2 times at 44, Michigan at 41. It's an okay resume. You don't have to go through the losses. It is what it is. Nova sitting at 16-14. Francesa said on his thing, he said no chance. Nova has to run the Big East. I think Nova can get to the final and be considered as an at-large team. Now, I don't think they'll get in, but they're 16-14. Their wins are Oklahoma 52, Xavier at 18, Creighton at 14. Left on the resume is UConn Saturday, who's 5 in the country potentially. They can also, the way the bracket's laid out, get Providence and get Xavier. That's 27-18. So you're holding 6 compared to Wisconsin's 4. Now, can Wisconsin go win in the Big Ten? Sure. But the resumes here, if Wisconsin's the last team in, and Nova's resume is pretty gross with 14 losses. Like, Nova's not as bad as Wisconsin. That's all I'm going to say. And I do think Nova's a nightmare of a matchup in the Big East. They travel well to the Garden. It's a nightmare of a matchup.
And ever since Justin Moore came back and has played 30 or more minutes, this team has been very good. Okay. Also, throw in the fact Kadari Richmond, he's about as game time decision as it gets. Without him, look, Seton Hall stinks. They can't score as it is. Without him, they're really bad offensively. They've been really bad all year. Sadly, this is what Shaheen's teams are a lot of the time.
Yeah, he ran good shit at Peters, but it just wasn't.
Yeah.
He's got to go get guys. It's tough. Seton Hall's, it's not the best campus. It's a tough job. Same with St. John's. And then I'll roll the dice on this one. NC State plus the 6.5 and plus 210 on the money line. So they're an awful loss to Clemson. Duke has been playing really well. But Duke at home, I think of it as teams just not being afraid of Cameron as much as they are, or Duke's undefeated at home this year. So it's I guess I'm kind of contradicting myself, but a 4-point win against Notre Dame. They beat obviously Carolina by 6, 2 against Wake Forest, 2 against Miami. Like Notre Dame and Wake Forest are not the best teams. You win those games real close. NC State off a bad loss. NC State who pounded them once. Granted, it was at home. I think NC State's kind of live here. NC State's got to limit Duke on the offensive glass. They're really good on the offensive glass. Filipowski, Mitchell, Ryan Young, they're really big. NC State's got 4 double-digit scores. I think they can be live in this one.
I think you're onto something. I think you're completely right. I don't think teams are as worried about going into Cameron, going into Chapel Hill. I think Villanova, though, look, I'm not a big fan of laying 1.5, 2 points in a road. I think it's a bad bet a lot of the time. But this is one of those where I just think you have to go with the team going one way and a team going the other. You made a very good point about Villanova, throwing the Kadari Richmond stuff. It's hard to back them, Seton Hall right now. we'll see if they come to play tonight. They kind of need it. They kind of have to continue to play well, but they just don't really seem to ever get there when it matters most, and they can't score. Let's do another Big East game here, Marquette and Butler. I initially liked Marquette in this game because I've talked for weeks about how bad Butler is. We all know it. They've lost, I think, 7 games by 19 or more in this conference. They have been a little bit more pesky lately. And I read a blog from Marquette. I forget what it's called, some blog. I don't know. I go deep for info. And what I heard tonight is Marquette's going to be playing a lot of bench people. Okay, they don't care much about this game. They're not much bearing, I don't believe, on them.
Right?
Say that again?
They clinched, right?
I believe they have, yes. The game doesn't mean much. First game they played, I think, was 70-63. Butler's hard to back. They're bad on defense. They're bad on offense. I think if you like Marquette, you do have some solace in knowing that they are a good road team. They are a good favorite. I'm just going to say tread lightly here because I think Butler, obviously he's at home. That's, I think, generally where they play better. It's hard to go to Hinkle sometimes. And I just don't think Marquette cares much. That said, I think even with their second unit, they could probably beat Butler by 10. But it's just the one I think you tread lightly with, Rico. If this game's 2 weeks ago, I'm probably laying it with Marquette here. But Marquette just doesn't really care much about this one.
Yeah, I don't know if it's not like sitting guys in a bye in the NFL playoffs, but you're right. I could probably see a low effort come out, get smacked a little bit early, and then rally, or we'll see. I guess I would lean over with that one. Because you talked about Marquette's being bad on defensively. I don't think they're necessarily bad defensively. We know they're great offensively. I would go with the over, based on also Butler being desperate.
And I think
can they even get if Butler is Butler fighting to get to 500 to get to an NIT bid?
It's correlated, Rico.
Yeah.
If you like Butler, I think you take the over. If you like Marquette, I think you take the under. It's probably a game similar to the first time. So I think you're 100% right on that. Rico, you're a lot better handicapper than they give you credit for.
I just prepare. I just can't control the results. That's the fucking issue. I just can't control the results.
Well, look, you definitely put the work in. I think we give you that credit. This is one where I kind of agree. I think it's similar to the one you talked about with NC State. I think Virginia's. I think we can make the case. This team isn't very good. I mean, I think it's the same song and dance with this group year after year. It is not good enough offensively a lot of the time. Clemson's a desperate dog in the corner. And I will say, I think sometimes – that's a lazy argument to make. Oh, they have to have the game because they're on the bubble. Well, they're on the bubble for the reason. And I backed Oklahoma State last night, so I know all about that. I just didn't see 6.5 points difference between these two teams. I think Virginia just right now is a team that I think is going one way. Clemson's had some success the last 2 games. They're finally back after some struggle. I thought this was too many points here.
We touched on it with NC State Duke going in different directions. Right. Clemson obviously off the 2 wins, Virginia off 1 bad loss to BC, and then I guess you could kind of say a bad loss to Carolina because Carolina couldn't beat anybody. The difference here to me is Virginia's defense, not great, defending the 3-point line, and Clemson's top 50. So if they can get really going here with the 3, I'll roll the dice. It's weird too. Clemson was ranked like a month and a half ago. Mm-hmm. To watch, it's funny to watch these teams just catapult down or completely free fall to the bubble, which Clemson has done.
For anyone that's new to this show or to know how I do things, there are 3 things I want to back and want when I'm going to back an underdog. Can they make free throws? Clemson, yes, 80%. Do they turn the ball over? No, Clemson doesn't turn the ball over. And can they make threes? And as Rico just outlined, they do. All checked boxes here. Throw in the fact as well, a little cherry on top, Virginia is an awful favorite. They've been a favorite 20 times. They've only covered 7 as a favorite. So this is a bad favorite. It's not a team I want to lay points with right now. And you got a desperate team in the Clemson Tigers who really need a good performance here. Rico, this is probably in your wheelhouse, and I wanted to bring this game up because I think Liberty is a team that isn't on a collision course with Kennesaw State. You talk about a great coaching job down in Kennesaw. Abdur Rahim, he's done a great job down there. But Liberty is – they didn't play last night. Bellarmine did. I mean, it went down to the wire. We can make the case. Probably shouldn't have won the game, but did. We give them the credit. They're there. But, Rico, I just want to talk about the last 4 times they've played Liberty. Are you aware of how many points they've scored in those 4 games? If you're not
a lot.
I'm going to tell you. Last 4 games for Bellarmine, points-wise against Liberty, 53, 50, 50, 53.
Yeah, I had looked into that. I knew
Yeah.
Liberty had smacked them once, but yeah, Bellarmine off that huge win, and this is another one too, like not eligible for the tournament, fucking disaster.
Mhm.
They're both slow tempos. I could see Bellarmine not having a lot of legs and trying to just get through the first half of like, all
Yeah.
right, it's 23-15 and we're down 8, but at least we're still in this.
I think they get got in the second half too. I think
Yeah, I would go
Liberty.
with that. I lean Bellarmine with the 16, but I'd actually hope the way I would try to play this would be live. You're right. I think if Bellarmine can stick around in the first half, Liberty kind of runs them out, and you're getting some discount on the value. Let's say they're up 4, and then I get a 7-point line or a 6-point line in the second half. I got free 6. I'll roll the dice with that.
You talk about a Ken Palm. There is interesting things that you'll find occasionally when you look at some of these boxers, right? First game these two teams played, Rico, was 70-50 Liberty. In that game, Liberty was 7 for 29 from 3. Not good. But from 2, they were 94.4% from 2. They were 17 for 18, Liberty. That's
I'd like to see
something
the
you don't
shot
see.
chart.
Very,
Yeah, it's
very
a lot
statistical
of shots in
anomaly
the
there.
paint, a lot of dunks, a lot of shots in the paint.
And I think we see a lot of that in the second half in this game. This is a great live betting opportunity. I'll be sitting there betting it live. I actually got to admit, I would consider almost laying it here. I think this is like a 72-52 type of game. I think Liberty's just kind of licking their lips at this one. Two more here. Yet another desperate team. Texas Tech is, I mean, they really pissed their opportunity away on Saturday, losing to Texas Christian. It's just a bad loss. I mean, you really shouldn't have had it. You're in control. You're on your home court. And we've seen, look, Kansas can run in here. I think it's senior day, which, Rico, I've said senior day is such a fucking lazy argument. A lot of the time people say senior day, it's not even important. They don't even have any seniors on the team. Like it's just a stupid argument. But Texas Tech, look, I know they lost on Saturday, but another very good performance. They've been really good over the last 2 weeks. This opened 10, it's down to 9. I think people are starting to believe Texas Tech probably live here again.
Now, are you very anti-senior day because you didn't go to college? Or that's just you're just anti-senior day in general?
No, I just think it's a stupid argument because, listen, I think I'm not saying it's stupid if it actually makes sense, right? Where, like, if you have 4 seniors, then, okay, maybe it makes sense. Like Toledo. Toledo had senior day the other night. I think he had 2 or 3 seniors. I think he had 56 points in the first half. That's important for some of those kids. But on a team like Kansas, where they might have 1 senior, didn't even play at Kansas until this year, it doesn't mean shit.
Definitely, yeah. It's all relative. Same with suspensions. You love to see when a team, 8 guys are suspended. Go see what they do. Like, where are they in too deep? If it really matters with college football, yeah, for sure. Right. I would lean Kansas here just because I love Bill Self and they're cooking. I'm not going to play it. I also kind of lean over based off of Texas Tech. They gave up 83 to TCU. They gave up 74 to Oklahoma, 78 to West Virginia, and 74 to Texas. Kansas should have their way. They might get 8 points off that lob play that I love, the baseline play. I would lean the over. I'm not going to play it, obviously, but I would lean the over that way.
Again, this is the problem when you back teams in a bubble. They're on the bubble for a reason. Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, Michigan, Penn State. There's a reason they're there. And I don't know why we care that much about bubble teams because in the end, they generally don't really do much ultimately.
Yeah, I think it's match. I went to a bubble team last night. I should have played them outright. But I loved West Virginia yesterday, counting the 4. If you look at Iowa, I really hope Iowa State turns it around a little bit here and makes maybe the final of the Big 12 and get some people to get back in on them and they get like a 6 or something because I hate Iowa State. Look at them over the last month and a half. I think they're like 3-7 or something like that. They're not good.
Without Caleb Grill, they're
really not good. I think Otzelberger is good, and obviously all matters on matchups, like if they can grind it out against teams or if they have waist size. But Iowa State, to me, sight unseen, would be a team I pick in a 6-11 upset, a 7-10 upset. Like Iowa State's out.
If they're healthy, they're very good. But like I said, without Grill, without certain players, they are just very bad offensively. And I said yesterday, they have guys like Osun Ashuni, who is a net negative on offense. He can't score. All he does, he's Ben Wallace. That's what I put him as. He doesn't score. He's just a defender, and that's it. And he's hurts you on offense. This is my team here. I've said it all year. Arkansas. Now, initially, I did knock them a little bit because you could just zone them and they couldn't make shots. But Nick Smith back in this lineup, they're very good from a future standpoint. They're good defensively. Tennessee's really not going to I think if you zone them, you can probably play pretty well. But Tennessee ain't going to do that.
225 effective field goal percentage.
Yeah.
Arkansas is the top 10 defense. Arkansas is coming on of late, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Musselman's good. I would lean the 6 here, even on the road. I also would probably lean the under, weirdly, because Tennessee's not going to want to run with it. I'd go under and Arkansas.
65 wins.
I'd go Arkansas on the under. Tennessee is another one that, like, I don't know how you buy into Rick Barnes.
Rick Barnes, Kevin Willard. There's a couple of guys where, look, you like some of the kids they have, but like they've had great teams. Look at Schofield, Grant Williams. Like
I would say Willard, though. I would say Willard is an overachiever at Seton Hall. I mean, Seton Hall's it's in Orange, fucking New Jersey. It's not a great spot. You were for years still overshadowed from St. John's, which is weird because Seton Hall basically had almost more success than St. John's historically. They made a championship game.
Turgeon was way worse. Turgeon was way worse.
Turgeon wasn't the guy. No, he wasn't the guy. But Maryland, yeah, I mean, you can stumble into. It's weird that Maryland wanted Willard forever when he was rising, and then he didn't do too much at Seton Hall. Now he kind of got jobbed in that 2020 year when they had Powell and Kale. That probably would have been his best team, and they were on the line for a higher seed. So maybe he makes the Sweet 16, or things are going to change there. It's a sliding doors type of moment, but. Barnes had Kevin Durant and didn't do anything. I think they went out in like the second round. Barnes hasn't been to the second weekend in a long time. Like, I'm just not a Barnes guy, not a Tennessee guy.
No, I agree with you. And I think if you back the 3, let's say NC State, Clemson, Arkansas, I think the worst you go tonight is 2-1. I really do. And Arkansas look totally different since Smith's back. 24 against your boys on Saturday. And I know Alabama got the win, but nice cover by Arky. One more, Rico. Late night. One of my favorite pastimes, Mountain West college basketball. San Diego State, Boise. First game, 20-point win for the Aztecs. However, disclaimer, Marcus Shaver didn't play. Marcus Shaver is about as important to a team as it gets, especially Boise. One thing I noticed about this series, Rico, last 5 in this series, not one has gotten above 125. In fact, one didn't even get to 80, 42-37 in a complete. I mean, that's like a Rico CYO days for you, 42-37 with the rec specs, Rico.
Yeah, 42. You got to see it now. The game is completely translated on nobody's playing defense on the youth level. You got 70 points in an 8th grade, 32-minute game.
Yeah, not to change the subject, but I think you wrote this. A lot of people were not happy with those little children. I think they were like 3rd or 4th grade. They were like acting like, NBA players. You didn't like that, did you?
No. Did you see the update? They went and got waxed when they went down to the DMV. Yeah, they stopped playing the suburbs teams, put it that way, and they went and got waxed with somebody who can play. So karma.
What didn't you like about that? You don't like that ever?
No, it's just it's just wild behavior, and that's what is now going to be like.
Rico, every kid wants to be on TikTok. That's what
every kid wants to be on TikTok. Agreed.
It's a shitty world we live in, but
agreed.
For once, I agreed with you. I thought you were right on the money. It was corny. I think it was poor parenting. I think it was a lot of things.
The funny thing of the whole story. So the team that beat him, this guy, this triple threat or whatever they are, that AAU program, they are retweeting anybody who mentions them with this win now. This guy, go look at this guy's timeline. You'll be buried. And then, like it says, in 2 hours, you'll have 400 tweets. He's tweeting anybody and everybody who will win. This whole circuit is wild. That's why they've moved away from AAU. But
so these are like what, 7-8-year-old kids?
I think so. Yeah, it's the whole circuit's wild.
All right. This game itself, though, it's kind of, I think, getting out of hand a little bit. I've seen 2.5s on this game. I saw a 2.5 at Barstool Sportsbook. I have to ask, I mean, at some point, I think coming back on San Diego State might be where the look. They are pretty tested. This is a really good team. I think they're surely, and I like Nevada, I like Boise, but SDSU is still the best team in this conference. Do you just play the under? I mean,
I would. So the thing too is like, do we think all of a sudden 2 really good defenses are going to disappear? Because in the last game they went 4 of 36 shooting the 3.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got Schaefer playing. That changes things. But I think long possessions, forced threes, late bad shots, a couple of shot clock violations, I would go under. I would try to even get a little bit of a middle. Maybe I got an ugly first half, hope for a little bit of a second half over, and try
I'm
to
just
hit the
kind of
middle.
there with this game where I'm looking at it and I'm saying, like, I think this number's like too high to the point where I think it's trying to goat you into thinking it's going to be 62-58. Why is this number 134.5 when none of them have gotten even above 125? It's something's going on with this total here. I get a weird feeling, Rico.
Yeah, I think it'll fly over.
Yeah, it's a complete opposite where they're hitting the threes. Shaver adds a different element. They maybe play a little quicker. See, Rico.
Yeah, it's a rat. It's definitely
There's
a rat.
something going on with this total here.
But that's the thing. If you have any doubt, just pass. That's like I've started to
Wow.
cut down the card. It's been a lot better. One a
I'll give you
day,
one
dog
better.
a day, two a day. It's been way better.
I'm playing the over in this game, 134.5, late night action. I also like I said, I think I'm going to kind of just go with those 3 6 point. I'm going to go with what you NC State. I think that's a good one. I think Arky's a good one, and I think Clemson's a good one. I'm trying to think of what else. I think Liberty Live is going to be a spot that I'm very interested in tonight. I get a weird feeling that they blow them out in the second half. You know, good old Oral Roberts style. Oral Roberts blows teams out in the second half. I think we see that. Rico, do we have 5 minutes? Do you want to just take some questions from people?
Yeah, sure. Before that, I promise the people, you have a pen and paper in front of you?
Here we go with the stupid test.
It's not a stupid test. Can you draw a flare screen? Can you draw a flare
Listen,
screen?
Rico, let me explain something to you real quick. I'm going to explain this to you. And I've made this very clear when everyone says I'm a basketball expert, I gamble. Okay. I think I know a good amount about schematics, but that said, I'm not a coach. Okay. I don't claim to be a coach. I don't claim to be the greatest I don't even know a ton about basketball trivia. I just like to gamble and shit. And I know a lot about the current teams. I'm not going to say that said, could I draw a flare screen? Could I draw it? I mean, I guess. I mean, you're coming off the screen and you flare out. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a coach. What do we?
Right.
What are we doing?
I mean, you said the weird thing to me was that you don't watch the games. That was
I don't watch a lot of these games. No, I don't. To me, but here's the thing, Rico. Here's what I can say that a lot of people can't. I know more about basketball than virtually anybody as far as the teams. So like, I do the work after I watch.
Yeah, I think there's different ways to go about it. I think just watching a million hours of basketball, I can pick up different things through the game. Like there's a lot of times you'll see a play develop. You could start to see that, or you watch a kid. Hey, look, he always is able to find the post. They don't front the post. Like just different things you could pick up with your eyes instead of just the stats. It seems like a lot of the time you have the stats, which obviously work. But I think the eye test is a big thing too.
I will say I spent a lot of time late night watching condensed highlights over that kind of thing. Cause I agree with you. I think box scores don't always tell the tale of the game. You're 100% right on that. Also, I want to say one thing about you. You're a pretty good basketball player. I didn't know that. I'm not. Now, Rico, if you can believe this, I at one point did play basketball. I was pretty good way back many years ago. Haven't played in about 10 years, but you're actually pretty good at basketball.
I'm not bad. I know how to play. Luckily, I had good coaches know how to play. But it's been when you put I'll tell you this, when you take 2.5 years in between dribbling the ball, the left hand goes pretty quick.
Right. I'm going to tell you guys, drop some questions now, and we'll take them. Please try to be a fucking adult, normal person here. Steakhouse is garbage haircut. Well, luckily, Steakhouse, it's all good. It's my hair, not yours. We don't know what your haircut looks like. So unless we do, I don't think you could say much. What are Rico's high school stats?
Low.
Did you play varsity?
Yeah, for a year. Played Vars B as a junior because the Vars they were loaded. We were still loaded. But we won the city, won the Catholic State, got a bunch of pairs of sneakers. So put it that way, 4 pairs of sneakers, half a point a game, let's say.
Okay, so more sneakers. A good point, Pete Byrne. Next time Rico betting a football game, we have to know we can break down a Tampa too. Rico, get the fuck out of here with that. I hate these fucking people on the internet. You shouldn't talk about sports if you can't play it. You these fat fucks talking about sport. Shut up. All right.
No, I think you should understand it though.
Yeah. I do, Rico. I just fucking told you.
It's not a.
Did I not? So during the breakdowns, did I not give you my?
I'm not throwing stones. I'm only throwing pebbles today.
Okay, you're right. You aren't throwing stones. That said, Butler moneyline, no. Listen, I think they can hang. Surely, I think they can. Maybe lose by 5 or 6. Maybe hang around. But I think it's a tall tale. I think they can win the game. I mean, it's like Rico said. It's not like they're going to be sitting every player. It's not going to be like that. Here's how you get unblocked. I have a good idea, Jason T. Rico, what do you think of this? It's all about content, creating capital. Send $5 in and put your Twitter name, and I'll write them all down. And we can make a little cash on the show, and I'll send Rico the list. Is that agreeable, Rico?
The financial part somehow gets spun against me.
No, send
just
donation.
Try to reply to.
We're creating revenue.
Yeah. Just if on one of my tweets, try to reply to it. Whatever. Try to reply to people I interact with on the thread. I've been going in and doing that. It's way easier than the settings.
Again, or just donate $5, and we'll get you unblocked. Is Kirk Kreese still living rent-free? Kirk Kreese stinks. I know you don't want to admit it, but in the end, Kirk Kreese is going to be the death knell for Arizona. He's soft. He's not good in neutral sites, and he's a weak-ass guard. So, Smitty, you can pretend. Look, all I do is tell you the truth. You don't want to hear it. You think he's the coming of Steve Kerr because he named himself or his parents named him after Steve Kerr. He ain't Steve Kerr, okay? He's not. So, is he rent-free? No. And he plays in the MAC tonight. Here's one I'll give you, Rico, and I'll give you boys this and girls. Ball State, I think, is just looking to get into the MAC tournament. Peyton Sparks is out injured, their best player. Boog Coleman, he may not play tonight, their other best player. They lost to Eastern Michigan over the weekend, and Akron is in revenge at home. This line jumped from 7 to 9.5, up even to 10. The Sharps believe Akron's going to run away. Ball State, I think, is in for a rough one here tonight.
Who's Kent State got? I'm trying to pull up the score right now. Who's Kent State got?
Kent State plays one of the Michigan teams, I believe.
I know you're high on Toledo because they took you to dinner. I think it's Kent State's league to lose. And if you remember last year,
Kent State's got Ohio, by the way.
I would lean with Kent State. What's the line? Like 9? Did I see, or is it higher?
Yeah, I think it's 8.5. 9.
I think Kent State's, to me, the class of that league. I know it's to get some good teams. But if you remember last year, Kent State got, I don't want to say kind of screwed because they screwed up, but those kids got suspended the morning of that game or like late into the night with that video that they screwed up on.
Right.
Kent State looking for some revenge. There's obviously some bad blood in that. I think Kent State can give Akron a true run.
They're the 3 teams, Kent, Akron, Toledo. In this conference, it's going to be a great battle back and forth. And Toledo's, maybe they're top heavy right now. They won 13 in a row. They're going in, and then they lose right away. Who knows? They don't play defense. That's one thing that team does not do. They play Central Michigan tonight. Yeah, I don't think it's ever a bad bet, Eric, right? I don't. I think, anytime you play Toledo with the way they run in transition, and they have 5 kids that can score to basketball. They're very good. Ray J. Dennis, one of the best players in the country, nobody talks about. We're not going to answer what their biggest gambling caches are. That's their private stuff. Blake Stackpool. I know this guy. He's a big rider. I know that. Can't believe he made this collab happen. He says Michigan money line versus Illinois. Michigan plus 300 to 1 for the tournament. I don't think they make the tournament. I think you have to. It's really your thought on whether you think they're going to get in or not. I don't have them in currently. That said, they're going to have to win one of the last 2 on the road. Not easy. Indiana, Illinois.
Illinois is a team I can't figure out either.
No.
Watched them beat a really good Texas team while Beard was still coaching at the Garden, and they've just been up and down.
Top player in the country, I would go with Zach Edey.
It's Brandon Miller.
It could be Brandon Miller too. I think Edey, Brandon Miller, TJD. There's a lot of great players.
Because I still think you have to. And Edey's great, and Edey's a really, really smart kid when you talk to him, which I have. Trace Jackson Davis too. Obviously, I think you can make a case for Chris Murray as well as being like a pro-ready type kid. You saw what his brother did, just popped up those boards. But like I look at it as you got to go full length to score, or who can go full length to score. It's Brandon Miller as well. Edey, I don't know if you can do that. Now that's going to obviously hurt big guys, but the way this game is played, I think you got to go 94 feet. And to me, like which player do I want? It's Brandon Miller.
Rico, let me ask you something.
And that's Bama aside. He's just fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, we talked about this, ad nauseum. I get what you were doing. You were in the camp of he didn't commit a crime, so he should play. Do you understand like the thought of just as an ethic standpoint?
1,000%. You have a 1,000% right to be mad at the Alabama athletic department.
Like, what's his
And you
teaching
have
a recruit coming in?
1,000% right to be mad at the Alabama Police Department and the Alabama ADs and DAs or what all the abbreviations. You have every right to do that. But and they did all their due diligence. And when it comes back, unfortunately, if they weren't charged with a crime, they're going to play. That's how it goes. It's the same way with a financial crime or, some kind of investigation or whatever. Like,
but let me ask you, what would
I'm not looking to get into a legal bet, but like, be mad and I'm kind of mad at Alabama's athletic department, how they handled it. They should have waited. Maybe it's a game, 2 games. You got to know people are going to come down to you. And Oates is not saying all the right things. I like him, but he's putting his foot in his mouth a lot. Like, you can't say you don't know about he's got to be in a position where he knows everything now. He should know what they eat for breakfast. He should know, he's got to get complete control of what's going on. I don't think he's lost control, obviously, but he's got to know everything. You got to know, and I know they did it every game, but you got to know the kid does that and cut that shit out before it goes and gets bigger than it is.
The completely tone deaf.
Yeah, it wasn't a good look. He'll say that too, but again, that's the fault of it too. When everyone's coming at Oates, all right, it makes sense. He's got to have a guy in that program being like, Coach, it's an uncomfortable conversation, but this is what he does before the game. We got to shut this off.
We need to shut this down.
100%. It's just a bad look. Yeah, it's
Do you think if that's Dom Welch, the 8th or 9th player on the bench, you think he would have been kicked off the team, right? Come on. I mean, if that's let me ask you, Rico. Here's what I'm saying. I'm not a conspiracy theory kind of guy. We know how these programs work. They're big. They're huge. They're businesses. You don't think somebody said to him, "Listen, tell us what happened here. You won't face criminal charges. We know we could probably get you on something."
I'll be honest. I think in a world now with cameras and I know that makes a lot of sense, but you saw what those guys did at Duke when they fucked around on the video and basically handed the girl and tried to hang the kids the other way. So to get a kid, you're going to get in trouble when you try to hang a kid. You're going to get in trouble when you try to get a kid off. I think you're right. They did what they did. If you're upset with the result, that's accurate. You have every right to do that. But until, Jay Bill has said it, unfortunately, if he's told to play, he's going to play. If he's told to coach, he's going to coach.
I do think it also has a lot to do with just who you're a fan of. It's a lot of fans in the comment sections that are Auburn fans or Tennessee fans. And look, the truth is with Alabama fans, if that were Tennessee, you'd be calling for the same thing. So
if it was Calipari, it would just be.
That said, he is probably the best player in the country. No one will take that away from him. He did shoot the ball 40 times in that game the other night. Let's just say it. I mean,
that's their style, though. They're not. You're going to get a lot of shots from a lot of guys.
There was a question, Rico, for you specifically. Do you have anything to say to Dave about your number 1 ranking on the blog list this week?
No, you got to do your job. There are no attaboys. You're supposed to be. Now it's 1. Don't lose the spot.
Yeah, you got to keep the top.
There are no attaboys.
You got to keep the top spot. Rico Bosco, I'm surprised you're at work today. How about that?
Who said that? You said that?
Yeah, I'm just saying you're in the game.
Oh, yeah. No, it's
Is that your room now that M-Rags is gone?
Nah, I've just popped in. This way you're not yelling out in the Plus they start to get the vacuums out at 5 o'clock. It gets a little.
Yeah, right. Quick question: any chance we can make Rico a normal guest like Kelly? You work well together. Well, listen, Nick. Let's just say this: stay tuned. Possibly, maybe you'll get your wish. Who knows? There are certain folks that they don't want me to say certain things, so I'm not going to say things. Okay, not blocked, but love the first show. Thank you, Ryan. It's $2. See, Rico, we're creating capital. Rico, what time are you leaving today? You about to leave after this? I don't want to keep you too long.
Yeah, relatively. Yeah, we're not. This isn't a. What the fuck is that term?
Do you want to?
What's the political term where you just keep speaking? I'm having a brain fart. I've known it forever.
A cacchiarone. I don't know.
No.
Rico, we have almost 1,900 people in here. I'm trying to continue answering questions. Do you want to get off the show?
No, I'm good. Keep the questions going.
All right, beautiful. Should Tom Izzo retire? No, he's fine.
Filibuster.
Oh, you're filibustering. I got you.
That's what it was.
Good point. Should Tom Izzo retire? No. I mean, he hasn't been great in March recently. That said, I mean, he's still a great coach.
Yeah, the tombstone for Izzo is going to say elite, but could have done more. Or elite, but underachiever, if that makes sense.
Good point.
He made a ton of Final Fours, but to only win the one is crazy.
Good point. Do you think there's value? Oh, by the way, speaking of Kentucky, Sister Jean says that Kentucky's going to win the NCAA tournament. By the way, any Sister Jean slander on this show will not happen. She's a fucking legend. She's 103 years old. Show her some respect, for Christ's sakes. Look, I get it. She was kind of a attention getter, if you will, but come on. She's 100. Rico, she was born in 1920, for Christ's sakes. I mean, Prohibition had not even happened yet. That's crazy.
Yeah, she probably knows where a lot of bodies are buried in the Catholic Church too. She's probably seen a lot of shit.
Oh yeah, to be in it that long, like 80 years, she's been a nun. By the way, why doesn't she wear the nun outfit? You ever wonder that? Like she's above the Catholic Church. I'm not wearing that. I'm a nun then, nonetheless.
Because it's a bad look with the orthopedic shoes. It's a bad look.
Yeah, it is. That's a great scene in Sopranos where Christopher thinks that feds are following them, and Tony looks back and goes, "It's nuns. Might be feds, but I doubt it." Nate Oates' people reached out to Michigan. Is that true, Blake?
That's on. I think a lot of people are reaching out to Oates. I wouldn't say, but he signed that extension. Now the buyouts are a long term. That was weird too. That Kelsey wanted to sign that extension at least before he could at least see what was out there, right? He was on the list for Notre Dame. I think he was down the list, but
Langle would be a great coach at Notre Dame. That's a great name.
Yeah, I think I know who they want.
By the way, Rico, any comment on that? Good question.
A man named Reich is on the show. I don't know what that means.
H-Man.
Oh. I didn't get that.
Never mind. It's all good.
Yeah, there we go. What's your favorite inbound play?
What is my favorite inbound play? The one where they all stand in the line and then one just goes one goes the other way. It's the best. I also like the inbound play where maybe you throw it off a player and, I don't know, something like that.
Have you seen the Kansas one? I did a TikTok on the Kansas play.
No, but I'm gonna follow you. I
gotta do another one on. You're probably still blocked on there. I got you were on every platform. I gotta get
Rico. I gotta ask you. Speaking of other platforms, would you ever come on to sit down and talk about Staten Island with the mafia?
I don't know enough. I'd rather be honest. I don't know enough. It's not a.
You know who does? That lives.
It's just one of those things. Like I just know. Like you ask your friend from high school, what does your father do? He says, I have no idea, but somehow they have 3 cars in the driveway. Like that's not really going to put a lot of insight into it.
Yeah. The guy, Pat, the security guard at Barstool, I think he's there today, actually. He's Staten Island guy. He knows
those guys are all characters. They're all really
good people. Does the emergence of leaky black offensively make UNC a threat in the ACC tournament? Listen, they have the talent. We know they have the ability. They just have not put it together. And I think that has a lot to do with Hubert Davis, another guy who I don't really know how good a coach he is. Can anyone take over Edey for Player of the Year? Yeah, Brandon Miller. Could they actually give him Player of the Year, though?
I don't think they will. I think with a lot of these Player of the Years and Heismans and stuff, it does seem like they've decided before, like certain amount in, and then they can't really change their minds. And that's not hurting Edey. I think Edey's been great.
Nadu shows more empathy towards murderers than Brandon Miller. Not true. Not true.
Yeah.
Who have I showed empathy towards? I think there are certain people that are innocent. I don't think Scott Peterson killed his wife. I don't. Sorry. I think there's proof beyond a reasonable doubt he should get a new trial. I don't think he should be in prison currently. No. There are certain people. John Gotti is a vicious murderer and should have died in prison. It's pretty simple. I look at a case-to-case basis, I look at, in a court of law, what would happen, okay? I don't really care about your opinion on things. What actually do we know? I didn't show empathy towards any murderer. What murder did I? Rico, what murder?
I don't know. You do a lot of standing for John Gotti that my people have reported back to
Rico,
me.
let me ask you a question, okay? I bet you don't know this. You know the Gotti family hates me, right? They hate me. Like, they will not speak to me. They fucking hate me.
They don't talk to anybody, though. I wouldn't consider that like a.
But I'm just saying, I do not show empathy towards John.
That TV show was fucking electric.
It was a great show. We forget about Growing Up Gotti. The episode where he comes in, he took my gel.
Yes,
that's one of the great scenes in reality show history.
I made some girl watch that in college. She was like, "What the fuck is this?" I'm like, "No, you don't understand. This is
Yeah, we should bring so much. Why isn't that show being remade?
There's been a few of them that were like under the radar. They had a kid who I went to high school with that was in something like Brooklyn. It was a fucking zip code. Yes.
That was a great show,
bro.
as well.
Those kids.
Yeah.
The kid's brother was so stupid. You can't have cell phones in high school. So the teacher tricked him and was like, "Hey, you have that new Nextel or whatever, right? Like, I was thinking about getting it. Let me see it." He hands it to her, and she goes, or he takes it out, like, "Look, it does this, this, it." She goes, "You got your cell phone out," and trapped him to do. He got in trouble with getting in the elevator. They were
I think I knew who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's a Brooklyn
They
kid.
were like
I saw
brothers,
him down the
right?
shore. Yeah, they're characters.
I actually watched that show. Not gonna lie. All right, Rico, we'll end it here. Good seeing you. Thank you for coming on. Maybe in the future we'll talk again. Are you going to be at the streams for the NCAA tournament?
I haven't heard yet officially, but I'm hoping for sure.
Well, I am allowed to fly now, so
yeah, that's a big turnaround.
Yeah, where did that come from, by the way, Rico? Because that's not true. I've never been on a no-fly list, by the way.
I did a lot of things where if somebody said it on Twitter, I ran with it.
Also, one other thing,
I didn't check a lot of sources.
One of the funniest things you ever called me in the history of Barstool was when, so a lot of people don't know this. I got hired the first time at Barstool, right before the.
Yeah, you shut down the country. That was a sign. They should have changed that.
You called me Patient 400. I was a great fucking name.
Well, no, it's 4. You gotta get clever. It's 400 because Patient 0 is the outbreak.
Sure.
So it's 4.
But you were referring to my weight at that time, which
I don't know. That you talk about gambling omens. You hire a guy, they shut down the country. I don't know.
Yeah, it was rough. I literally, it was a bad week for me. It was a bad week. Rico, thank you for coming on. Follow Rico, by the way, and contact him so you can get unblocked. You're working on that, aren't you?
Yep.
All right, good. Rico, give us your 2 plays you're on tonight one more time, please.
Villanova and NC State plus the 6.5.
I love it. Thank you for coming on, Rico. It was fun.
Thank you for having me.
All right, see you, bro.
All right, take it easy.
All right, buddy. How about that? Rico Bosco on the show live. Never thought it would happen, but it's here, and it's happened. That said, I got to admit, I think both of his plays are really good tonight. It's hard to back Seton Hall right now, especially possibly without Kadari Richmond. I don't like the 1-2 point favorites on the road, but looks like a great spot for the Nova. We also talked about some of those 6.5 point dogs, Clemson, NC State, Arkansas. I mentioned, I think the rat line of the night is the Boise State, San Diego State total. Why is that total? 134.5. They haven't gotten to 125 the last 5 meetings. You get Shaver back, maybe make some 3 balls you didn't make in the first game, pace a little bit faster this year from San Diego State. And I admit, I am going to be looking at Liberty live. I think Liberty second half, Liberty live. I've had some good success with Liberty live. All right, couple of the comments. I have some time here, guys, so I'll hang out. If you have a comment or question, you're welcome to reach out. Somewhere out there, Big Cat was watching the show with a huge smile like a proud dad. Yes, I think so. I thought that was great. I think we're him and I are good together, and it was nice that he would come on. Listen, guys, I never thought that would happen. I mean, we've had a long history, him and I, of a lot of things, and it's good that we can move on. I did see a funny comment in here earlier that at one point Rico was offered $350,000 to fight me in Rough and Rowdy, and he declined it. And now he's doing a show with me for free. Kind of funny, I have to admit. Whoever said that, that was pretty funny. Dialogue was great. Thank you, Dan Eber. Appreciate it. And all you guys watching, thanks for being here. We're here every day, 4:00 Eastern. Kelly in Vegas will join me tomorrow. Looking forward to that as always. Damn near 500 likes. Yes, hit the like button, guys. 1,450 people in here. Hit the like button. Please do us a favor. That said, one other thing here. I have $20 in my account. Give me a good value future. All right. Gonzaga. I think you'll be able to pull some out on that and make a little profit there. They're playing very well right now. Yes, talk about dropping the bag. Absolutely. All right, though, guys, we are it. This is that on the show today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. And I hope you come back and join us. If you're new around here, you're watching the show for the first time or checking out this channel for the first time, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss a Barstool Sportsbook video. You got money shots. You got Pick Central. You got all sorts of content on this channel. So make sure you check that out. And as I said, we're here every day, 4 o'clock Eastern, breaking down the basketball card every weekday. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I'll see you next time.